It's Levack and Goss on 104.5 The Team.
Lots of turmoil in Jets land, and no one better to help us navigate that turmoil than ESPN's own Rich Cimini. He knows as much about the Jets as anybody does. Let's start with this. Some people are shocked that Todd Bowles survived the firing. Are you shocked at all, Rich?
No, not at all. Been kind of knew about that like about a month before. We were reporting that Woody Johnson was going to keep him. And, so it wasn't really surprising. I mean, some people on the outside might be surprised because not only did they only win 5 games, but they lost a lot of blowout games. I think 5 games by 21 points or more, which is really not good as an understatement. But, no, Woody was pretty much in Todd's corner the whole way, so I was not surprised.
So we've already seen a lot of changes with the coaching staff right now. Is that it? Is everybody now, after this wave of people being released, going to stay put for 2017?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far yet. I still think there could be some movement. I think probably this is, the guys who survived yesterday will be around, but there might be 1 or 2 more changes. Now they're obviously going to have to go into hiring mode to fill these spots. The offensive coordinator, of course, is the key spot, how they replace Chan Gailey. And then they have 5 other assistants that have to be filled as well. So that'll be a drawn-out process. It could take, it could take a month or so.
ESPN NFL Nation reporter for the Jets, Rich Cimini, with us here on 104.5 The Team, Levack and Goss. So, Rich, we saw, I see you have been covering this pretty closely at ESPN.com. Who wants to be and who do the Jets want to be their offensive coordinator?
Yeah, 2 totally very different questions there. It's not an attractive job. I mean, let's be honest. When a coordinator or a coach, an offensive coach, goes to a team, like there's usually a couple of things they want. Number one, they want a quarterback there, an established quarterback. The Jets do not have an established quarterback. The other thing they want is job security, and really Todd Bowles can't offer that coordinator job security because if Todd Bowles has one more bad year, he's going to be out of a job next year, and then they could blow this whole thing up and be starting over. So it's really going to be hard to attract the top coordinator candidates to a situation like this. They're going to have to find a younger coach, a young, hungry coach who's up for a challenge and wants to make a name for himself in this type of situation. It's going to be a really interesting and important hire for Todd Bowles.
Rich, we were kind of talking about it a little bit, and we love the idea of Mike McCoy, but it doesn't sound like that's something he might look at then, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to people who know Mike. It doesn't sound like he's going to be real interested in the Jets. I think he's waiting to see how things shake out now with other staffs moving around the league. You have, 6? Is it 6 head coaching openings?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think
as
6.
of now, yeah.
Yeah, so those things are going to fill, and then, once those get filled up, then you're going to see the coordinators start to get hired. So I think Mike will probably wait it out and see what's available. I think he'll be a guy in demand. I think he'd be good for the Jets, but as I said earlier, why would he want to come to the Jets?
Rich Cimini on 104.5 The Team. Is there like a name that you're thinking of that that you think, okay, this guy would be good enough and they might be able to get him?
Well, there's a guy probably not many fans have heard of, but he's the quarterback's coach right now for the Philadelphia Eagles, John DeFilippo. He actually was a coordinator last year in Cleveland and 2015 in Cleveland. And, that was a train wreck of a season. They all got fired. And so he landed with the Eagles. But he actually is a highly regarded younger coach. I think he's 38 years old. Was actually on Rex Ryan's staff with the Jets in 2009 as an assistant quarterbacks coach. But I'm told that Todd Bowles is pretty high on him. I think the Jets would like to get him in for an interview at some point.
Brandon Marshall's comments yesterday shift away from coaching now to the players still on the roster. And Marshall made this comment that the New York Jets season was sort of like a diaper that nobody changed throughout the year. What do we make of Brandon Marshall's comments, if anything, and is he going to be for sure back with the Jets in 2017?
Well, that was a pretty graphic description. A little off color. I think for anybody, any parents out there listening, they probably can relate to that. They've changed the number of diapers. But probably a pretty accurate description of what the season was like, and I think he should include himself in that because he was not good. He stunk this year. He had his worst year statistically since his rookie year and did not really help the cause. And as to whether he would be back next year, I think that's far, far from a guarantee. I think that's very much up in the air. He wants to be back. Even dropped hints about taking a pay cut, which I don't believe. I don't think he would. But it's a tough situation. I mean, he's going to be a 33-year-old wide receiver next year coming off a subpar year who makes a lot of money. I don't think the Jets really want a guy like that on their team, so I would not be surprised if they cut him.
Rich, any word if he sent that Porsche to Antonio Brown yet?
Yeah, that was, I think they're going to have to figure out. I think he might donate it to his charity. I don't think there'll actually be a car, transferring hands there. That was another charade, too, because when he made that promise in training camp or he made that bet to Antonio Brown, it was just he was shilling for Porsche at the time. Porsche is a sponsor for the Jets. They had a car out front of the building, and Brandon just decided to do something for Porsche. So that whole thing was a scam, too. It wasn't really a true bet.
Rich Cimini with us, and of course he covers the Jets for ESPN. Rich, before we let you go, our Jets fans here in upstate New York, they're clamoring for something good. Is there anything you're working on that you could go, here's some hope, guys. Here's something in the off that we're going to enjoy? Not really. Sorry to disappoint the fans.
They had the sixth pick in the draft, so it's an all too familiar position for them. They picked 6 2 years ago when they got Leonard Williams, so that worked out well. He's a good player. I think he's going to be a very good player for a long time. So, you hope you hit with that draft pick again, and they need offense. I think you'll see a completely different looking offense next year. I counted up. I think there could be as many as 7 new starters on offense next year, including a new quarterback, a new coordinator. So if you're a Jet fan, you just embrace what possibly could be in 2017, because you certainly don't want to look back on 16. It was, as Brandon Marshall so eloquently and graphically put it, basically a dirty diaper.
Wild guess the starting quarterback for the Jets in 2017 will be?
Yeah, anybody who tells you that they know the answer to that is lying, because I think a lot of it will depend on who the coordinator is, and what kind of offense he's running. But I do think the Jets might have some interest in Tony Romo. I cannot possibly see that happening. He'll go elsewhere, probably Denver. And, maybe Mike Glennon from Tampa. He'll be a free agent. I think the Jets could have some interest there. So that'll cost them some money. But, if you want me to make a wild guess at this point, I'll say Mike Glennon.
That's a good wild guess. It's one that, it's reasonable. So that's what Rich Cimini, man, you got to check him out at ESPN.com. He's got all the good knowledge for you in Jets land. We appreciate your time, sir.
Well, if they sign Mike Glennon, be sure to call me up so I can do some bragging.
We will.
We do that. We have a allotted amount of time for bragging on the show, so that'll be yours that day.
All right. I'll be happy to do that.
Rich, thank you so much, sir.
All right. Take care.